Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Collective Spotlight. I'm really excited to do another Kickstarter actually for this one. And kind of a good friend of Travis Gibbs. Without any further ado, it's Mr. Joel Quinn. How are you doing today, Joel?
How's it going? Pretty good. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Absolutely, man. So I didn't realize, and I guess I should have realized it when you were friends with Travis. But you're out of Palm Bay. You're out of that hotbed of comics that is Brevard County.
It is. It is. There's a lot of people involved in comics over here, and someone's always got something going on.
Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy because, I know, gosh, off the top of my head, there's you, there's Travis, there's David, Byrne in Daytona, Galliano in down there in Melbourne. You got Jonathan Hedrick. You've got, gosh, I could probably spend the whole show naming them. So that's cool. How did you get connected with Travis?
I got connected with Travis through a lot of time spent at Kingdom of Comics. So going through there, meeting with him, meeting with David Galliano, meeting with Jonathan Hedrick. So they're kind of the ones that kind of steered me into the indie comic world. So
Nice.
that's pretty much they're pretty much the ones that kind of helped me believe in myself and gave me kind of that push to get where I'm at today.
Nice, man. And speaking of, the stuff that you got today, you just finished up, gosh, I think it was like last week, maybe even this week beginning. You just finished up a Kickstarter with Cosmic Desert. Talk to us a little bit about that. It's a one-shot, 32-page one-shot, but what's the premise there?
So Cosmic Desert is a story about an alien transport ship from Mars crash landing on Earth, and a Martian sheriff named Muge is sent there to capture whatever prisoners are left. So things do not go his way when he gets there, and he ends up enlisting the help of some newfound friends to track down these prisoners.
Nice, man. And you got a nice cover there by Dom Perizzo as well, he's out there. I want to say he's Brevard County as well, dude. You guys are keeping it in state. What are some of your inspirations on this? Because it seems like it's sci-fi, but it's also got your monsters and things like that. What are some of your inspirations growing up in not just comics but pop culture, and that maybe led you to this book?
A lot of it is growing up. I grew up on a lot of older generation sci-fi, 50s, 60s, monster movies, a lot of Star Trek, going into the 90s, X-Files. So it's really kind of a little bit of a lot of the last 50 years of inspiration going into sci-fi.
Nice. And I could see that you got your little bit of monster and horror movies in there, because it looks, the creatures in this look very menacing, and I love, your aliens. These guys look badass. What books, when you got into doing comics, this isn't your first published work? You've done a couple books before this, correct?
Correct. I do have an Ashcan out, which is a prequel to this story called Cosmic Greeting, which is the first introduction to the character Muge. I also have a short story out in Travis Gibbs' universe for Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies.
Yeah, actually, that's where I think I'd seen your name before. I was reading that back up once. And then what's cool, I just got to the team part, and your editor is good friend of who I feel like everybody, Chuck Pinnell. Chuck is everybody's best friend and editor.
Yeah, Chuck is everywhere. He's an awesome dude, though. I got a chance to meet him. He came over from Texas this past year.
He came. Oh yes, he was actually at our store when he came down. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, he's awesome, dude. He is everywhere. He really is.
How many of your books has Chuck had the opportunity or disopportunity of editing? Is this your first time working with Chuck?
Well, I worked with him for Cosmic Greeting as well, so he's pretty much been in the project all along.
Nice. He from what I hear, does a good job of, while the project is yours and he's just there as an editor, does a good job of keeping the story and the heart of a book in there, which is what a lot of people tell me. I underestimated what an editor was. I just thought he made sure he didn't spell things incorrectly, but I've been told he does a lot more.
Yeah, every editor kind of has their little thing, their little extra. I think that they put into the book for sure.
So your interior artist, that's Christian Navarro?
Yep.
So this looks awesome. I'm looking at the preview pages that you had on the Kickstarter, and it's a mixture of like kind of clean art while also going with that gritty, war, sci-fi, War of the Worlds style.
Mhm.
Was this something you guys talked about going over together, or did you kind of just hand over the script and you said go to town on the art? How do you guys
I, I
coordinate that?
kind of more so handing over the script, because looking at a lot of his other art, it was a lot more dark, grittier stuff already. So I felt like he was kind of already headed that direction.
Nice. I also like the use of colors, like the green, like kind of green background instead of a pure black, night sky. It gives me that cool X-Files, sci-fi, scary
Exactly.
horror mixed with sci-fi. It's perfect. So would you classify this as just a pure sci-fi book, or are there some horror aspects in here?
I think there could definitely be some horror aspects to it. It's more of a sci-fi leaning book, but with a little bit of that horror in it, I would say, I guess.
Nice. Oh man, I love this art. I like literally as I go through more and more pages, I can't wait to get this in the store. So when you're coming up with a story like this, you straight up in the Kickstarter said it was a 32-page one shot. So when you're coming up with a story like this, how do you decide, hey, this is going to stay a one shot, or hey, this is a world where I'm going to do 3 issues in? Is that tough to decide up front like that?
It really is, because I have a lot of scripts rolling at the moment. So it is hard to decide like how much you're going to devote to a certain universe. For this is a sci-fi one shot, but it does open up a universe. So I do plan to do some other spin-offs in the universe, but maybe with some other characters. So
Nice.
that was something that it was it is a big part of your decision making process when going through all these different comic projects, because you have to decide, do you want to keep going this route, or are there some other stories? Do you want to do one and then another universe and kind of alternate back and forth? So sometimes people just want to see what else you can get into.
Nice. So is this your first jump into sci-fi, like, or were your other books kind of in the sci-fi realm?
Well, the prequel to this, yeah, was still sci-fi. My book with Travis Gibb is more on the like crime side, kind of more comedy laced in that one as well.
Okay. Nice. So you've been diverse in the portfolio at this point. So I know you're just wrapping this up, and you're gonna, you still got to finish getting it fulfilled and everything like that. But I know a lot of creators, especially if I know guys like Travis, you guys are three or four books ahead. Since this is a one shot, what is next for you? What project are you planning on tackling next?
Next, I do have a kind of prequel ash can for the spinoff for this. That'll be the next thing directly, which readers will be able to run into those characters in this story.
So you've done. You seem to be a fan of the ash can, which is really. Most people may not know this. The ash can, the word comes from back in the day as a promotional tool that used to be used. Now, publishers occasionally print a promo ash can to get word out. But you've gone ahead and done it with the prequel to this, and you're planning another one.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit about being an indie creator and going that ash can preview route. What made you want to do it? Was it viable the first time you did it for Cosmic Desert or for Cosmic Greetings? I'm assuming the answer is yes, since you're doing it again. But what goes into doing that?
I think it's definitely for me getting started in this industry is meeting people. So it's something that you can take into places, show them the art, because I mean, there's so many different creators over here in Brevard. When you go into these different stores, you may talk to someone, and be like, oh man, that project he was working on sounded really awesome, but I don't remember what it's called, you know. And if you have these ash cans to bring and to show people, then they get a little taste of that. So, and they don't have to come find you on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. They'll have that book in their hands to be able to see it.
Yeah, it kind of almost works like a business card. And I guess as a comic book creator, no better business card than some stuff that has your stories in it, right? Like, so how many
Correct.
pages did you end up printing? How many pages did you go with for Cosmic Greeting on the ash can?
For Cosmic Greeting, I just went with 8 pages, so a little longer for an ash can, but I think it works. It works for the storyline pretty well.
And when you do an ash can, you do the ash can as a 100% original story. You don't do the same. It's not like the first couple of pages of your first issue, or how do you approach it?
Yes, it's 100% original story, so it kind of adds that little bit of extra to the whole universe for the reader.
Joe, who's a good customer of ours, said ash cans are a great way to make friends, which is like kind of what you've been using them as, right?
Yeah. I think, it depends on how you go into the project. Some people don't want to invest in those pages. They'd rather invest in putting those pages in a full-length book. But I do think there is a lot of good that can come out of the ash cans and helping to get yourself out there and just give a little bit extra into the project.
People don't. I don't think they think about it on the Kickstarter side of things, but like if Cosmic Desert ended up becoming a Netflix show or something, the ash can would be the valuable. That would be the thing people would chase because it's rarer than your main book. So like that's the people don't think about ash cans as a collectible as well, and you've pretty much just also made a collectible for your fan base, which I think is really cool. So, when you are, since you are in a hotbed like Brevard, I know you probably don't necessarily talk about like your specific project with other creators, but how much do you guys all just? I know Travis has mentioned it to me actually a few times that occasionally you guys actually get together and have powwows where you all talk about writing and comics and this and that. But how much do you guys kind of feed off of each other down there in the sense that you guys have, Jonathan Hedrick is written for Scout. He's sold thousands of books. Travis is one of the hardest working guys in Kickstarter. How do you kind of pick the brains of the people that you work around with also keeping it that you guys all have your own original ideas?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's we have so many signings here, so we get to pop in and see each other and see what we're working on pretty often. We also have our monthly meetings with local creators and artists. But yeah, it's a thing that I think all of us, like you're saying, are so busy trying to get stuff out there that we all just kind of like see that, and it's just kind of like a snowball effect. Like we're all picking up maybe a little bit off of each other, and it's just kind of continuing the growth from there, I think.
That's really cool. And what I love is it doesn't seem like there's any type, and granted, there's room for everybody in comics, but it doesn't seem like there's any type of rivalry. It's literally everybody just wanting everybody else to do better. And I see every once in a while, David's looking for an editor or a letterer, and Jonathan or Travis come in and give them a suggestion for a guy they've worked with or a girl they've worked with. And it's awesome to see that because we're in such a competitive market with everything else that you guys are all working together. Joel, you talked a little bit about some of the things that were your inspiration for Cosmic Desert, but overall, what's your comic book origin story? What were the first comics that you picked up and read as a kid or whenever you did start reading comics?
For me, it's kind of a little bit all over the place because I always grew up reading books. Like my dad would finish a book. Here you go, from Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, all that. Really grown up heavy like sci-fi and through like Tom Clancy, but I remember growing up on old like G.I. Joe, the comics, the cartoon show, stuff like that. Iron Man was big with my dad being an Ozzy Osbourne fan, so naturally Iron Man, a lot of that going on. For me, one of my personal favorites is probably Wolverine. He's an awesome character, and I really like more so what the comics and even cinema are doing just to kind of show different sides of his character. So I think they've done a really good job developing him out. So um, yeah, it's a mix for me between indie comics and some of the more mainstream stuff, as well as reading. Even when I'm at work, I work in a big factory, but if I'm at work, I'm probably listening to an audiobook. So always constantly reading, pulling stuff in from everywhere.
So let me ask you this, because especially since you're kind of just kind of getting into the career, I like to ask, at what point did you know you wanted to be a writer? You know, a lot of us are very well read, but you know, very few of us end up making that leap. At what point do you kind of know, or at what point did you get that confirmation? Because some of us write all the time, that somebody said, "Hey, this could actually go into a comic book, or this could go into literature, or whichever route you ended up going in."
I think I always wanted to write something. I knew that I always wanted to write a book at some point, and this was something that I had a lot of interest in, and it has been a big topic recently. I mean, with just Marvel cinema and everything blowing up, like comics are just going crazy through the roof, and it's something that it took me, like a year and a half of honing my craft and really learning, what I need to do, certain processes. Every writer and creator has their own process, and I think I try to go through and see their process and pick out things that kind of work for me. So it's just kind of a cluster of little tools or just processes that I can use to develop a good story.
Nice, nice. So you just wrapped this up on Kickstarter. Obviously, then you know you wait a couple weeks for Kickstarter to release the funds. You go to the printer. Are you hoping to have this out before Christmas?
Yes, I am. I think I'll be able to get this out before Christmas, probably like mid-December, so I can kind of get out there on the road to some signings here the first quarter of next year. So
Awesome, awesome, man. Yeah, because I know that's the biggest thing. A lot of Kickstarter's there because printing ain't cheap. So you guys
yeah,
got to get that money in and get the books printed. And what's cool is, you've got, is it 3 covers overall you went with on this one?
yep. I have three different covers for it. I also included in that are a Perosi variant from local artist Dominic Perosi here. I had to get somebody. I knew when I had the project going, I was like, I definitely want to get one local artist in on it to just kind of bring that spotlight into the area. And we also have one from Kurt Belcher from Source Point Press. Uh, he's the one that did the ones with the dogs. So
I
we got
think,
two pretty prominent artists on two of the covers there.
yeah, Kurt's been awesome. I think he's working on
Holiday
Holiday
Spirits.
Spirit
Yeah.
with Travis and Jerome. Who actually, Jerome was your project manager, production manager
Yep.
on this?
Yep. He's my production manager on this, and another great dude. He's got his hands in a lot of the stuff from all of us here in Brevard County. So he does a lot. He does a lot for everyone. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, I know he's Travis and Orange Cone as a whole's go-to guy.
Mhm.
And he helped us actually with our Kickstarter book. He did all the design work for it. The guy, nicest guy in the world. If we didn't force him to take a payment, he probably wouldn't have. So I love Jerome.
Yeah, it's
Um,
awesome. It's awesome. We do really have like a really good group in this area from just people, just so much behind the scenes work goes into all these Kickstarters with different people involved. Like everyone really does like go out of their way to lend a helping hand to everybody.
Well, what's really cool is I see a lot of times in like backer updates for Travis or something. He'll give a shout out to your Kickstarter, to Jonathan's Kickstarter, and bottom of Jonathan's Kickstarter is a shout out to another guy, and that's super cool because your guys' followings, because Kickstarter is worldwide, your guys' followings aren't all exactly the same, but they might like all of your books equally. So that's a really cool thing that you guys have that camaraderie. Again, that nobody feels like it's competitive. Like my Kickstarter needs to do better than your Kickstarter. It's really just we want all the Kickstarters to fund. And I know Travis, if you look at his Kickstarter, he's backed like hundreds. So you guys aren't just about creating Kickstarters, you guys back them, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of it too is probably our whole group of creators will see someone they don't know, but they know Travis or they know Jonathan or David, so they're like, oh, I'll go help them out because this is someone that knows someone I know. So I think that really does go a long way though in kind of cross promoting with Kickstarters.
Yeah. Well, and then the anthologies, because it's really cool to always see Jonathan Hedrick working on an Orange Cone project, because Jonathan is published through Scout, and the recount was very successful. So it's always cool to see those guys working together, man. Like you and a backup story, and Travis's Broke Down Four Dead Bodies. Like those are cool collaborations. Those are really cool collaborations everybody's doing. I know David Galliano got a backup story in Jonathan Hedrick's book through Second Sight. And it's like those, I don't want to call them favors because I feel like you guys would do them for each other no matter what, and nobody expects anything. But like you have an opportunity to bring somebody on board, and you bring somebody on board that locally, which is really cool for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's it seems to be working out great for everyone, really, honestly, in this area. So everyone's just been successful and just keeps expanding their portfolio pretty much. So there's a huge group of artists, writers, and editors, and like everyone's just hard at work. They really are.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you said, you meant everybody's building up their portfolios, man. Dom's done a cover, I feel like, for every Kickstarter our store's backed for the last 6 months. He did Quicksand with Jonathan, he did Capable with Jonathan, he's doing yours. He did one, I think, for Travis earlier. So it's like, I love the guy, man. And we finally had him come in store. We've been selling his books for a year, and he finally came in store for a signing the other week. So we're excited. And obviously, once you ship out, we'll have you here in store for a signing too. But it's always cool to bring new blood into the store and to meet new people, because occasionally you guys become like regulars here in a way. Like there'll be a guy who'll buy Cosmic Desert because he met you, and then say, dude, I need everything Joel Quinn does. Like just anytime he does a book, put it in my box. And that's, as a retailer, that's really awesome to see when they're not, people come and ask, oh, put everything Todd McFarlane in my box, or put everything James Tannen in my box. But when I hear put everything Travis Gibb in my box, or Joel Quinn, like that's awesome, man, because you guys aren't taking that level of a paycheck that those other guys are taking.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. One signing I did, I had my ash can was a part of, I think, either Jonathan's Kickstarter or Travis's, because it's been on both. But someone got my ash can through there, and they brought it in for me to sign it, and that was pretty awesome that somebody remembered me from that and brought it in. So it's just a reminder that the fans are definitely out there. So you gotta step up your game and just keep delivering.
Yeah, man, and you said the key word there right at the end, delivering, man, because I think that's what Travis tries to preach is, your book can be great and everything, but if, let's say, your Kickstarter was delayed 5 months for fulfillment because, whatever reason, you might not have been finished with the book, that's going to hurt you more than how great the book might be. So you guys, I know Travis has trained everybody well in Brevard, but typically you try to fulfill like month and a half after the funds have cleared and everybody's happy and everybody's chirping about the book because they still remember that they backed it. I know with board games and stuff like that, people will back something 8 months later, they finally get the product. They forgot about it. But comic books, you guys are doing it right. So when you went to Kickstarter, to give a little behind the scenes, was the book already done when you went to Kickstarter?
Yes, the book was for the most part pretty much all done. So for us, it was putting the final touches on it. So getting caught up and with the campaign, I did it that way so that I could more so focus on the marketing aspect of it and advertising and getting out there. So I wasn't spending so much time on still creating the project, and I could really focus on getting out there and getting that customer base.
And I'll tell you, as a retailer, I love to hear or read when I'm looking through it. Book is done. We're kickstarting to print. I'm like, yes, because our money gets tied up real quick. So if I'm waiting 2 months, 3 months for the book to finish, it's kind of stinks. Whereas when you guys are shipping it, I actually just had Braden Cox his Severed from last month already shipped to us, and I'm just like, this is awesome, you know. So I really love it when you can get that quick turnaround, especially when you're local and I can bring you into the store for a signing, Joel. Like, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
Oh yeah.
So as we're wrapping up, anybody that might have joined late, give them the synopsis for Cosmic Desert. It's going to be available here at the Collective. You'll be here signing and stuff like that. But let them know what the book is, and you know, if they're fans of, you know, X-Files or whatnot, if they'll like it.
I'd definitely say the book would really be a big fan, would draw a big fan base, you know, from X-Files, Alien versus Predator, Mandalorian. I think fans of that would get a real kick out of it and really enjoy the story. The synopsis for it: an alien cargo ship ends up crashing on Earth, and a Martian sheriff is sent to capture the prisoners. Things do not go as planned, and he enlists the help of some newfound friends to track down the prisoners.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like how this could be very superhero-y, but it's not. It feels, honestly, what it feels like, and maybe it's because the word desert's in there. I feel like it's almost like a sci-fi western in a way, and especially because you use the word sheriff in there. So I'm really optimistic for this. I know I'm going to be able to cross-pull it for a lot of people that like sci-fi here in the store. I'm glad you funded, man. Let me ask you, what was the feeling like when you got that email from Kickstarter, or the notification, the ping, and it says you've successfully funded? Because at that point, you can breathe a sigh of relief at that point, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's awesome because everyone that knows me knows I've been talking about this project for a while. I've been working on it, also kind of learning my way in this industry and all that. So it's been a long time coming, and now it's like it's finally here. You know, like I can finally share it with everybody. So it's a big thing, and that was my first Kickstarter ever. That was all mine. So
that's why I wanted to ask, because like I'm sure were there a little nerves at first when you're planning it out and you launch it and everything, like you're questioning it a little bit?
There definitely is for a first launch. You're like, oh man, like I hope I hope I did everything right. But I mean, I sat back and I learned from some of the best in the business. So I mean, this area has so many talented people. They're always doing something. Every time you turn around, there's a new Kickstarter out of Brevard, Orlando. So I really got to see like kind of what works, what doesn't for some people, and just the different routes they kind of take on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter can go as far as you want it to go. You know, it really can. There's some crazy Kickstarters out there that you know, they have all sorts of backer goals, stretch goals, stuff like that. So you really got to kind of decide. You got to have a kind of rough target of really what you want to get out there. You know, so you don't undershoot your goal or kind of go overkill at the same time.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it's sky's the limit with Kickstarter, but there's a lot of Kickstarter cautionary tales out there. I know, like just in the video game world, Mighty Number 9 was one of them. You put too many stretch goals in there, and sometimes that makes the project a little bit harder to manage. So you got to set the expectations. But no, you did it right, man. Did it simple, 3 covers. You know, you can add on the ash can. It was perfect. It was a perfect first Kickstarter, man. We're excited that you funded. We're excited that we'll be able to get it here in the store. Let the people know, are you on social media? Can they find you on like Twitter, Instagram, anything like that?
Yes, they can find me on Twitter. I have Twitter under my own name, but my main comic book posts are going to be under Frontline Comics on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome, man. So make sure you follow Joel over at Frontline Comics. Is that spelled correctly, not with an X like Travis hates?
No, it's spelled correctly.
I know Travis went on a big rant, like, do not spell comics with an X. So, Joel, thank you so much for your time, man. We will see you here, if not end of December, beginning of January, once the book ships out. And you can get signed copies of Cosmic Desert here at the Collective, be coming out at the end of this year, man. So thank you, Joel. We really appreciate it, and best of luck with the rest of the career, man. We know you got big things coming.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem, man. You have a good one. So thank you to my guest, Joel Quinn, Cosmic Desert. Travis Gibb put us onto that. I immediately backed it in my car while he sent it to me. We're really excited to see what Joel's got in store, and we might work with Joel more in the future. So thank you so much for joining me today. Max is here tomorrow with the auction. He's got some crazy stuff, so definitely come by and see us. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow at 5:30 here at the Collective